conventional bomb on the last. No one wants a bar of this. Sexton coming through. Can't quite get a boot to it. Picked up by Kickout. Kickout is over. Mem using his running game. Then giving it to Karapani. Karapani one-on-one. Beautiful footwork. And Josiah Karapani is in. Walters to Reynolds. Deep for Mem. Mem gets it on. Oh, yes. Deloise Hoiter. Brisbane get two in a row. The short play, and he's over. Walters. Billy Walters scores. Brisbane. Oh, they're still coming. Mem brilliant. Oh, here's a chance. They're over. Piakura scores. Brisbane have done it. They've overcome an 18-point deficit to take the lead. This is remarkable. They have come from the clouds to stun the Canterbury Bulldogs.
That was a turning point thanks to Ashley and Martin Medical Hair Centres, and the Dogs blow the team up to accommodate for Galvin. That's a bit extreme, but they've
It's not that extreme.
Well, it isn't
It's
extreme.
pretty extreme. Sorry?
It isn't extreme?
Well, you have a think about it. Reid Marnie's gone from an 80-minute player to a 50-minute player. Then the weekend he went back to an 80-minute player. Sexton's gone from half to hooker. Bailey Hayward's gone from starting to the bench. Matt Burton's gone from 5'8" to centre. Montoya's changed from one wing to the other wing.
But that was Origin-related, Buzz. It was because they were missing players for Origin. That's not Galvin-related, that's Origin-related.
Is it?
Well, Burton played centres because Crichton wasn't available.
Yeah,
not because of Galvin.
You don't think it was done to fit Galvin in? And
He moved
you know as well as I do, Burton.
Crichton wasn't there.
You know as...
Yeah, but they moved him to the centres and he's a 5'8".
Yeah.
Other teams,
Well, you're saying that's
Brady.
only because of Origin? You don't think they were putting him there to see if Burton looked all right in the centres?
No, I don't think so, no.
Really?
Well, we know he's a good centre. We've seen him play in the centres before.
Very good 5'8" in great form
He is,
too.
and he will be.
So you've moved him to accommodate Galvin?
And he'll be back there next week.
Well, he will be now after last week.
Where will Galvin be this week?
I don't know, Braith.
That's the problem.
Quickly on that, but if Galvin had played good on the weekend, would Burton have been back to 5'8"?
Yes.
You definitely?
Well, I believe he would have, yeah.
You believe he would have?
Yeah. Well, you believe he wouldn't have.
I believe they were testing it, and if that had worked, there's a fair chance Galvin stays in the halves and Burton in the centre.
Oh, so Crichton doesn't play. We're chucking him out the team.
No, Crichton's playing. Maybe
Okay.
Sherry misses out.
Oh, Cherry missed out. He's had a pretty good
Okay, so
year.
it's all clear. It's clear.
But that's the whole thing.
Do you know more than us?
That part, I think, is very clear.
Is it?
Yes. Yes.
What else is clear?
Well, that's all we've discussed so far, isn't it? What else would I know? The other parts aren't clear.
Okay.
I don't know whether he'll be in the team next week. I don't know, Braith. But I know that Steve Crichton will be back in the team. And
Of
course he will be. That
You don't
wasn't the
think there's any
question.
confusion at Canterbury right now about the future, long term, of each of their players? We've got the half going. We've got... Hold on.
There's not confusion. We know what they're doing now. Sexton and Barney are going. We know that.
Just hold on, Reedy. They were leading the competition up until a week ago.
Yep.
Then they dismantle the football side. They give the permission for the hooker to go, and they don't offer Sexton anything. These two boys, 2 of the 4 in the spine. What are you looking like that? Because they took them to the top of the competition.
Sexton's been off contract all year. They haven't made it off to him all year. Why is it suddenly an issue in the last 4 weeks? And I'll tell you what else, Buzz. You know what they've done the last 9 weeks? Let's go back 9 weeks, because Lachlan Galvin wasn't there 9 weeks ago. They got spanked by Broncos, spanked by the Dolphins. They've won 5 of their last 9. They've lost 4 of the last 9 games. And 2 of those losses were when Galvin wasn't there.
You're off the planet, mate.
The Broncos one was a one-off loss, right? They had a bad night. It was
They got
pissing down
spanked by the Dolphins.
That was months ago. And then
Reedy, they were
that was
losing
months
6
ago.
weeks ago.
And the Dolphins was similar.
Exactly.
They had Origin players out, and it was pissing down rain as well.
Like on the weekend,
It was a similar night. So you can't. Honestly, like I said it throughout the week. Said it on the weekend. I love the Dogs. I want them to win the comp. I want them to win every week. But if you're telling me, if you can sit here and keep a straight face and tell me that there's been no disruption or interruption to that team with Galvin going there, then...
Can I ask you, 2 weeks ago they played Penrith. What did we say? That was grand final worthy?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, OK. Well, Galvin was there then.
Yeah, off the bench.
So that didn't seem like...
And he came on when the Bulldogs were winning.
Okay, exactly. But at the weekend,
then what happened?
They didn't have any Origin players, so they had to shuffle things around.
It's not Galvin's fault, this, by the way. At all. Not at all.
Right. At the weekend, they had to make changes because players were out. So they were always going to make changes at the weekend. There was always going to be a reshuffle, right?
You had to move Burton, did you?
Yeah. Well,
did you have to move Burton?
Yeah, well, that was...
you did.
Well, you didn't have to, but what's it matter?
So they chose to move Burton?
Yes, they chose to move Burton.
Why did they move Burton?
Was that an issue at 18-0, was it? Was it an issue at 18-0?
No,
It's an issue when they lost the game.
Yeah, because they dropped the ball in the second half. The completion was 50-odd%.
Why did they drop the ball, Reedy?
Because, I don't know, Braith.
Did you see a lot of those drop balls?
A lot of them were Galvin. Some of them were Galvin related, yes, but they all weren't. They completed 50-odd% in the second half. They were 18-0 up. No one had an issue with the changes 18-0 up. Second half, they come out, made too many errors, and Ezra Mann got the Broncos home.
Reedy, can I ask a Bulldogs fan question?
Yeah.
Do you reckon everybody's happy with what's happening there?
As in players at the club? No, probably not. Toby Sexton's had to leave. Reid Marnie's leaving. No, I'd say they wouldn't be happy, no.
Do you think anyone else will be asked to leave? You know they've got Big Thompson from Newcastle coming in on $800,000 a year, which is double the money Max King's on, double the money Preston's on. Who's going to be next to go?
I don't know. I'm not on the recruitment committee.
Yeah.
Do you think Galvin's arrival has accelerated the Sexton and Marnie to leave?
No. I don't, not the Sexton one, no. Because I think he's always been...
Galvin? I mean, Marnie?
Well, I don't... Reid Marnie, his manager asked for permission the off-season to explore his options. So that was, again, always on the cards. I mean, it's probably accelerated a little bit because Galvin's arrived, but that's been on the cards for a long time, Braith. We've talked about it previously on this show, that Marnie and his management asked for permission to explore their options because the Dogs weren't in a position... Because they went to the Dogs to ask... Well, my understanding is Sam went to the Dogs to ask about an extension, and the Dogs, at that point, Gus must have said, we're not in position to give you an extension. This was in the pre-season. So he asked for permission to go to market. That was well before Galvin was on...
Did you hear that Marnie was on the nose before then?
What's that?
Did you hear that Marnie was on the nose before then, or...?
Well, I haven't heard he's on the nose now.
Okay.
Well, he was, and I'm surprised.
He was on the nose before then?
Yes, he was.
So it's not Galvin related?
No, look, I've spoken to people at Canterbury who've been worried about his discipline for quite some time and the fact for a number of years, he's been the most heavily penalised player in the game.
So that's not Galvin related? You just confirmed it's not Galvin related?
I don't know if it's Galvin related or not.
You just said it wasn't.
Well, you asked the question, was he, or Braith did, was he on or was he off, right?
Yeah.
Was it Galvin related? Was it Thompson related? They have to free up money in the cap. I think their long-term plan is to pay Bailey, Haywood and Hooker.
I think it is.
That's what their plan is. Doesn't take away from the point I'm trying to make is you reckon you want to go back 9 weeks. 2 weeks ago, they were leading the competition. Now, half of the spine that took them there have been shown the door. True.
It's a unique situation.
In my time,
very unique.
And we've been saying it for weeks, right? And they could find their feet here, but still, right now, everyone's sitting here, and I'm sure they are. I think for the first time, Ciraldo would have to be thinking, "Oh, what do I like? This is his toughest test, I believe. Apart from the rebuild, is now they've got there. Is what do I do now? What move do I make that's going to benefit our team? And in the process of this, unfortunately, which just will happen, is other players are impacted and affected by it. You know, they're going to be thinking about where their positions in the team are or what their future lies. And, you know, have we gone backwards here? Do we have a good enough team to win the comp? Are we going to get this right or not? So they've added a whole other dimension they didn't need at this period of the season. Do you not agree with that? Like,
there's no doubt it's added another dimension and another dilemma for Cameron Ciraldo. But there's time to work it out.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got themselves in a really good position. I think I said it a week or two ago. I think they just need to make a call and stick with it.
Yeah.
Whether it's Sexton or Galvin, you know, I put Galvin
or maybe
in.
Galvin in reserve grade?
No, I don't think you put him in reserve grade.
Well, you know there's some pretty good judges who were suggesting that. I heard Greg Alexander on the Super Saturday talking about his performance, and he said he can't find a spot for Lachlan in the starting 17, and you know Brandy's been around
on his performance in the second half.
And without wanting to quote everyone, I think I heard you say yesterday, Gordon, on radio about the Dogs bringing them in when they brought him in. That would it have been wiser to wait until the end of the season, let West Tigers continue to pay him, and then give him a full off-season, October, November, and then...
But that wasn't feasible because of what was going on with the West Tigers. It just was not feasible. Things were untenable there.
Yeah.
It couldn't work that way, Buzz.
There's always been an ethos of...
Why was it untenable with
He was suing the club.
Why was he suing the club?
He accused his teammates of bullying.
We're going back there again, are we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty untenable.
And what was his social media post then?
I don't know, Cordy.
One thing about the
No, but
Bulldogs...
what was it then?
What was that, about when he posted
Yeah.
about talent?
Yeah.
I don't know, he's put a clapping emoji or something, didn't he?
This kid's very talented, and he's going to be a success story there. But I know one thing about the Bulldogs is every player that's ever played there's had to earn their jersey and earn that right. And I feel like it's just been handed to him a little bit too easily, and it has impacted other players there. And that's something they need to look at, I think.
Can I say one other thing? There's 3 other clubs in the top 4. There's the Canberra Raiders, there's Melbourne Storm, and there's New Zealand Warriors. Are we talking about them chopping, changing, halfback out, hooker out? It's not happening.
On the weekend, yeah, Melbourne made a lot of changes on the weekend, bro.
No.
A heap of changes. Jonah Pezzett played.
They had half their teams in Origin.
Like the Dogs.
No, what?
You've lost it there. I can't even talk to you anymore after that.
Only number 7 and number 9 wasn't playing Origin.
Excuse me, that is not what I was talking about. I'm talking about next year and the next 3 years.
You're doing so well, man.
You know, they signed Brayley from Newcastle, right? They didn't want to move him. So they'll slide him in the off-season.
I just told you why he had to go now. You know why he had to leave mid-season. You know it was untenable at the Tigers.
But what I'm saying is, you know...
All right, let's move on. Yeah. Buzzy, your Monday buzz. You went pretty hard on Gus.
Oh, well, look, all I did I go hard on him? I gave him a rap, actually. I said, no. Well, I did.
That's a back end.
Well, you want to hear what I wrote?
I read it, yeah.
I said that no one can build a premiership team like Phil Gould. I then said, but can he actually deliver a title? And I pointed out that it's been 23 years since 2002, when Ricky Stewart coached the Roosters and Gus said since he had any silverware. That's all I pointed out.
What you said was all facts, mind you.
Completely factual.
Yeah.
Completely factual. And he did the same thing at Penrith. Exactly the same. Set them up. Pathways, everything brilliant. They couldn't win a title, he left. He brought in Jamie Soward and he punted Jamie Soward. He brought in Marnie. Marnie didn't see. Brought in Trent Merrin, said he captain just got rid of him. Did the same with Ivan. He was tired, signed Griffin, etc. All I did was point out the facts. He's the best set-up man in the business to build a thriving football club. But the fact of the matter is he cannot go that extra step and deliver a title.
He's done a great job, though.
Absolutely.
But you're questioning whether he can actually get the premiership.
I wrote this morning, they have the best pathways in the NRL. He's set them up. And he doesn't have the junior base, he's stockpiling juniors.
Do you think he's just overstepped the mark on this occasion? Is that what you're saying?
I think they've had this massive mid-season upheaval that they didn't need to have. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
And there is a history of this happening at his previous clubs.
Ready? Respond.
Disagree. Go on, off you go. Is it true? 23 years.
Yeah, that's true. You've done your research,
years.
yeah. I feel like at times it's like Supercoach for him. You know, he's going out and trying to build the perfect team at times, and it involves some tinkering. And they're a better team with Lachlan Galvin in it. In my opinion, they're a better team. Now, maybe we didn't see it in the second half on Friday night, right? But I think Lachlan Galvin will eventually be a great signing for them.
Yeah.
And maybe it might be as early as later this year when they're in the finals and Galvin's in number 7 jersey and maybe they win a comp with him there.
But I go back to my other point. Those other 3 top 4 clubs are so settled and all they're worried about is this next 9 weeks and the finals. There's no upheaval, there's no confusion, there's no players walking on eggshells, they're settled.
I reckon if you could say to the Warriors, we've got a halfback for you, I reckon they'd probably take him right now, given they lost Luke Metcalf. Yeah. So they'd be happy to take him.
What are you talking about?
I'm saying they'd be happy to take him.
That's obvious, mate.
Why not? But you're saying that they're happy to settle.
We're talking about the situation and the Dogs didn't need to do it, though. That's the whole point
Gus obviously thought they did.
Really?
Well, what do you reckon? Why else would he go and get the bloke?
You think that's a bit crazy? Given they were coming first and second, playing really good.
I'm not going to turn around now and say it was crazy. When I said for weeks it was a great decision, and their spine, I've said it from the start of the year.
The signing is a great decision,
I said from the start of the year.
The signing is a great decision.
Yeah.
But the actual, to interrupt the team effective immediately.
No, because, Braith, I said from the start of the year, if you remember, you guys asked me, can the Dogs win the comp? And I said the spine's not good enough.
Hey, really?
Right, and then now got a bloke who can slot in.
There's better ways to do business. The Raiders are letting go their number 7, and they haven't chopped anybody around. They're not chopping and changing. They're letting him finish the year with a bit of respect, and they're still going on the way up.
And they planned for this by bringing in the young fella. What's the young fella from Parramatta?
Ethan Sanders.
Ethan Sanders. This was planned.
The Dogs got Mitch Woods there too, by the way.
They have, yes.